This project deals with the American involvement in Colombia. On our first day, we got handed out three questions, which were explain the Colombian history from 1980 till now, with a specific focus on the American involvement. The second was to analyze the motives behind the American involvement in Colombian affairs. The third and last was to assemble on Colombia dealing a security threat for USA or for America, and to explain that I needed to conclude some relevant social studies theories. I chose to work with the two subjects called history and social studies, which or because that I like those studies the most. Social studies are my favorite study and or class, and I think that history and social studies are easy to connect on this specific case. I also think that using social studies theories such as international politic theories as realism and idealism, I think that those theories um, are very good to use when you want to explain this situation between Colombia and US. Also, history is relevant because to understand the present and the future, we need to know the past. Like we need to know to understand how the relations between or the relation between USA and Colombia are. We need to know their past, how they behaved before, and what they have done to each other. Yeah. So the main purpose of this project were to investigate the American motives behind their interference in Colombia, with a reference to social theories, as I said. The first motive was the fight against communism. The Cold War was still going on, and so the other superpower, or Soviet Union, were still a threat to America. Also, war on drugs were a threat. 60% of all cocaine on the American market were sold by the um, Colombian drug lords at that given time, and so they started a specific plan called Plan Colombia, which was confirmed in 1999, and were to deal with the Colombian domestic problems, something that the U.S. government economically supported because of the current threat of narcotics undermining the American society. Yeah, but the narcotics were not the only reason of why uh, America interfered in Colombia. Also, the Colombian resources, or the resources in South America in general, they had a lot of minerals and mines in Colombia, and in South America there were also oil, which which for power resources are essential to keep up their power as a superpower in the society or in the international society. Um, Also, war against terror were a threat or a motive. I mean, but war against terror and war on drugs can almost be connected because the drug lords were the terror groups. They attacked civilians and killed people who were against their against their beliefs and how they thought that things should go. So yeah, to on my conclusion on those problems or on all this is that that those narcotics that Colombia sent it or that they sold in US were a threat to the American society because uh, the addicts of the drug cost the society a lot of money. Um, where it wasn't catastrophic, but it dealt with a threat. You could save a lot of money on this project and also a lot of people's lives. Um, yeah, just drugs in general are bad. So yeah, that's yeah, some people they lose a lot of work power, or what's it called, like they lose a lot of people on the market, to the drugs. So they tried to stop that by interfering in Colombia. Also, I question if I ask myself if the America is a threat to themselves because of their huge investment in the military. Um, yeah, so um, that it's hard to explain, but the the investment, yeah, never mind, but it might deal a threat to America. Also, terror groups uh, creates a uncertain future for the um, the American society and the American people, because at first they are left oriented, or they are more like they think more about Russia and the Soviet Union, or now Russia and before Soviet Union, um, and terror in general are just a threat to the society because it scares and frightens us. We don't feel safe when we hear about terror. Uh, yeah, so I conclude at last that Colombia deals a security threat to America, and they can't have that so close to their own territory. It's almost in their backyard, so they needed to interfere in Colombia. And I perspective it to the American involvement in Mexico, which also were because of drugs who were undermining the American society. Yeah. So, and my main source, I think, or not my main source, but my most relevant source is Bill Clinton speaks to the people, where he tries to legitimate the interference in um, in Colombia by telling the American people that it is to promote peace and prosperity and deepen its democracy. Like he wants to like to he wants to spread the Western values, and in that way it's a very idealistic way of thinking. So he tries to legitimate the American interference in Colombia idealistic by an idealistic thought process.